Every time somebody criticizes Israel, you accuse them of being anti-Semitic. President of Ireland, Higgins, said something very similar. If you criticize Netanyahu's policies, you're then described as anti-Semitic, and that campaign against Ireland, claiming that it is anti-Semitic, is in fact hurting investment in Ireland. Criticism of Israel, criticism of Israel's actions, criticism of Netanyahu or his policies is not anti-Semitic. I say that as somebody with several hundred essays, podcast episodes, interviews, etc., criticizing Netanyahu's policies. Anything Israel does, fair game. Israel's very existence as a Jewish polity, the very idea that Jews are a people capable of self-determination, is contested by most of the activist core of the pro-Palestinian campaign. The pro-Palestinian campaign is not a campaign to end war and build a state for Palestinians and give the Palestinians independence. That's something a lot of Jews and a lot of Zionists would sign on to. It's a campaign that argues that Israel is not legitimate, and at its core, its very existence is a great and vast crime. Criticize anything Israel does, but the last 8 million Jews living in the Eastern Hemisphere after a century in which all others could not survive. And by the time they moved to Israel, there was nowhere else to go. All the immigration quotas were already in place. The idea that their survival is a crime. People dress it up differently. They pretend there were other options. They pretend that wasn't what was at stake. The idea that Jews and Jewish self-determination, Zionism, is somehow the distillation of all the evils of the world. That Zoran Mamdani himself participated in for years, publicly, explicitly, arguing that the New York Police Department, that the IDF laced their boots, and that helped teach the NYPD to be violent, is his argument. The NYPD is 34,000 people. 20 participate annually in the exchange program with the Israel police. The NYPD learned from Israel some counter-terror tactics. The NYPD, I happen to know, because I happen to once have met one of these delegations as a journalist, they learned some community policing, how you do policing that is gentle in complicated multi-ethnic areas. For example, building police stations in Arab towns composed of Arab cops. That's anti-Semitism. I don't mind that the young people in the world were radicalized against Israel by seeing the images of the victims of war on their phones. If that's the beginning of a new way of thinking about war, and it'll be impossible to have war again, great! Let's have that be what this is. But it's not what this is, because you'll never see images of victims of war ever again if Israel isn't involved. We saw in this 2 years images from Syria of murdered children laundered on TikTok as images from Gaza and getting millions and millions of views until it was floated up to the top of the comments that this is actually an image from 3 years earlier in Syria. And then the image disappeared. Nobody cared anymore. The anti-Semitism is in the uniqueness of all of this and the demand that millions of Jews not have survived the 20th century. If I give you the benefit of the doubt, I tell you that you're ignorant of our history, so you don't know that that's what you're actually demanding when you're demanding that Israel never be established. Ignorance is only a limited defense for bigotry. It is ultimately bigotry. And the people selling you on it, they know.